In the Azores, on the island of São Miguel, the volcanoes are overflowing with energy.
These fumaroles and this thermal water are signs of intense volcanic activity in the Furnas Valley.
In a few villages, volcanism manifests itself through dangerous gas emissions.
People were evacuated from their homes. No one lives in these houses today.
But when the heat of volcanoes is carefully tamed, it can be a valuable asset. Oh yeah, this is slow volcanic cooking. Smells good. Today, thanks to geothermal power, the island has become a reference point for renewable energy.
The advantages are huge because our fossil fuel consumption is far lower.
For more than 15 years, I've been traveling to active volcanoes around the globe to meet the people who live closest to them. Sharing their daily life gives us a better understanding of the living history of the Earth and its inhabitants. The Azores is a volcanic archipelago in the mid-Atlantic, 1,500 kilometers from the Portuguese coast. It is made up of 9 islands. São Miguel is the largest of them. Three active volcanoes make up the island of São Miguel, 65 kilometers in length. At the center of the island, Fogo, where I am, is the largest of them. We are in a landscape with exceptional dimensions, which expresses all the force of the volcanic activity in the Azores archipelago. With these vast calderas, the collapse-formed craters resulting from the emptying of the magma chambers beneath, you can just imagine the immensity of these eruptions. Then the growth of this striking greenery. It all contributes to an exceptional landscape of incredible beauty. You can understand why seabirds come here to nest. The volcanism of the Azores is associated with magma rising from very deep down. This hotspot causes regular volcanic activity, which here on the island of São Miguel manifests itself through the emission of gas. Around Fogo, vigilance is necessary because the volcano gives off considerable volumes of carbon dioxide. These emissions are dangerous for the population because they can filter up through the floors of the buildings. In the village of Ribeira Grande, the inhabitants were obliged to leave their houses in 2012. Only the restaurants and public places remain open during the day. The mission of Fatima Viveros, a lecturer at the University of the Azores, is to monitor the discharge of CO2. Fatima. Hello.
Hello.
Pleased to meet you. Arno, what are you doing?
I'm measuring the carbon dioxide coming out of the ground. You can't see it or smell it. The big problem is that it can enter buildings through tiny cracks, in the walls, for example, or through waste pipes. If there's no ventilation, it can accumulate and reach concentrations which are very unhealthy.
There are holes all around here. If we take measurements in one of them, is the concentration greater than on the surface?
Yes, which is because carbon dioxide is heavier than air.
What danger does this represent for people who live here?
It's an asphyxiating gas. The World Health Organization recommends not being exposed to a level greater than 0.5%. Above this concentration, you start having headaches, giddiness, and nausea. 10 to 12% is the lethal limit.
This instrument has an accumulation chamber, meaning it can collect gas inside. So you're putting your foot on it to make sure the chamber is airtight.
Exactly. It's to avoid the outside air getting inside and affecting the measurement.
Do you have a result?
Here we have almost 2% carbon dioxide in the accumulation chamber. 2%.
So, clearly, if I were to breathe what's in the accumulation chamber, then I would pass out.
You would have a headache at least, and nausea if you continued for too long.
Does the CO2 which surfaces here come directly from the magma in the volcano below?
Yes, it's the breathing of the volcano and one of the main dangers linked to volcanism. One of the geological particularities of the Azores archipelago is this permanent gas emission. One way of reducing the problem is to install captors within the buildings. We can go and take a look if you like.
In these currently uninhabited houses, captors make it possible to follow the evolution of the fumes in real time. Rui Marquez is head of this program for the University of the Azores. Is there CO2 inside?
Yes.
Okay. We can see a green level, a yellow level, and a red level.
In all the buildings under surveillance, captors measure the concentration of carbon dioxide in real time. If one of the captors goes into the yellow or red levels, the Emergency Operations Center contacts the Civic Protection Authority, and depending upon the concentration level, they take the necessary decisions. Here, in Ribeira Grande, the people were evacuated from their homes. No one lives in these houses today.
So here we have colors representing the concentration. We're just here, aren't we?
Yes, we're in a zone with a high concentration of CO2. That's what prompted us to install captors, and because of the quantities we found in one of the neighboring houses, everyone was evacuated. That's why this house is abandoned.
Fatima Viveros takes further measurements a few hundred meters from the village in order to evaluate the impact of the weather on gas concentration in the air. You can see areas in the fields where no vegetation grows.
These are areas where the concentration of carbon dioxide is particularly high. If you touch the ground, you notice that it's warmer. You could almost draw up a temperature map simply by looking at the landscape.
What causes the CO2 emissions? Volcanic activity?
Apart from volcanic activity, carbon dioxide emissions can also be influenced by variations in atmospheric parameters. That's why this station is also equipped with meteorological data receptors. In this way, we can measure wind speed, rainfall, temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure. Variations in this pressure influence the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. When it's high, it exerts pressure on the ground, which prevents gas from seeping out. It's important to understand these variations in order to follow volcanic activity. A rise in the concentration of CO2 could also result from a dip in atmospheric pressure rather than renewed volcanic activity. It's good to know that the volcano breathes like us every day, at all hours, that this is part of its normal behavior. My daily work here is to study this phenomena as a whole. It's useful and has direct repercussions on people's everyday lives. In fact, this volcano is a part of myself, and I'm a part of the volcano. I can't imagine living without it.
In São Miguel, volcanic activity is above all regarded as a stroke of good luck. As rainwater filters through the subsoil close to the magma, it is heated and enriched with minerals which make this island a thermal paradise. You really have the smell of a volcano here. In the furnace caldera, steam comes up everywhere. The magma must be very deep indeed to heat this water so intensely. It really fills the nostrils. Take my word for it. It's perfect if you have a slight touch of sinusitis. It's really an astonishing landscape, almost otherworldly. The São Miguel subsurface is streaked with a dense network of cracks. Rainwater, which is abundant here, filters through it, and when it comes close to the magma, it is heated and becomes enriched with volcanic mineral elements such as sulfur, iron, and chlorine. Then it returns to the surface, either as steam in the form of fumaroles, or in a liquid state in the form of hot sources, as can be found in the Furnace Valley at the center of the island. João Carlos Nunes is a geologist and professor of volcanology at the University of the Azores. He regularly pays a visit to the island's thermal water sites, where numerous clients come to charge their virtual batteries. May I bathe my feet?
Yes, of course.
Wow. Oh,
It's marvelous. Is it traditional to bathe in the hot springs?
Yes. Whether you're a local or a tourist, the hot spring baths of Furnas are a must in the Azores. The temperature is around 38 or 39 degrees. That's a very agreeable level, which is close to body temperature.
You don't have the impression that you're in an active volcano, and yet that's exactly where you are. This is more or less the lid of the cauldron, isn't it?
Yes, we're at the center of an active volcano. These fumaroles, these thermal waters, are a manifestation of the intense volcanic activity happening in the Azores, and specifically here at the very heart of the Furnas volcano. The heat which you find in the water here is the result of the heat in the depths of the Earth, in the volcano's magma chamber. We estimate it to be at a depth of 4 or 5 kilometers, and the geothermic system which it creates supplies the fumarole fields all around here. These waters are rich and contain dissolved salts, which have excellent therapeutic value, particularly for skin disorders.
What's this on the surface of the water?
That's what's known as biofilm. It's actually made up of bacteria, tiny microorganisms. This biofilm helps to cure illnesses and health problems.
In fact, this is something of a cure center.
You're right, but with different aspects. The chemical side and the bacteriological side. Talking of which, we're going to join a team to sample this water and analyze the chemical and microbiological constituents. Now we're going to measure the temperature and electrical conductivity of the water.
Okay, what information does conductivity provide?
Above all, it gives us an idea of the quantity of mineral salts and iron dissolved in the water, which you can see from this reddish color. That indicates the presence of silica, sodium, and other salts.
Do you carry out these measures for the safety of people who come to bathe in the sources?
That's the main reason. But in a different perspective, this equipment and these tests are used for volcanic surveillance in the zone. The Furnas volcano is active. There were eruptions in the 15th century and in 1630. At the moment, it's in a dormant phase, so vigilance is necessary for detecting an eventual future eruption.
The thermal waters of São Miguel are analyzed in the laboratory at the Azores Institute of Technical Innovation in the capital, Ponta Delgada. But beyond monitoring the quality of the waters and checking for volcanic activity, biologists take a close interest in the bacteria present in these sources. What types of analysis are you going to carry out on these samples?
We're going to do chemical and microbiological analysis on them.
So the sample is put into this tube, and that goes into the machine which is behind us.
That's a chromatograph. Once the process is over, we'll be able to collect the data and obtain immediate results.
You'll be able to bring to light all the chemical elements which interest you in terms of the quality of the bathing water.
Exactly.
Beyond these characteristics, you also carry out microbiological analysis here.
Yes.
Because these bacteria also open up fresh fields for creating new medicines?
Yes, they have several applications in the domains of dermatology, cosmetics, and even medicine, precisely concerning pathologies linked to skin disorders, where it's necessary to regenerate cellular tissue. These bacteria play an essential role.
The volcanic sources of São Miguel have revealed some unexpected benefits. They have influenced people's lives in the archipelago thanks to the creation of a whole economic fabric based upon their virtues. But these sources are not just a thermal paradise. They also act on the island's environment, creating a microclimate suitable for lush vegetation. Certain species found here only usually grow in the tropical latitudes 2,500 kilometers further south. This is the case, for example, with yams. Noel Vieira is a producer. What are these plants? They're incredible.
They're called lamero, which are hot water yams. We're in the process of weeding this entire plot.
Thanks a lot. This is a particular type of land.
Yes, we work with ferrous water, meaning it's very rich in minerals. Yams develop more quickly here than they do in drier soil. Usually, yams are harvested after 18 months, but here it's 12 months.
Okay.
They grow larger here and produce tubers around 1.2 kilograms, when normally they grow to something like 500 grams.
On volcanic land, fruit and vegetables always seem to have more taste. Is that true for yams here?
This yam has a taste which is completely different, and it has a very tender texture. It's a unique product. There's a lot of demand for it, and we export a good deal to the US.
Yams are not a plant from here, are they? Why is there a tradition of growing yams in this crater?
Yams were introduced here in the 18th century. It was a captain who had the idea of importing them to fight against the famine which was raging at the time. People started growing them on their own land and had them in easy reach every day. They could just cut a few and cook them at home. It solved the crisis.
It's very pleasant to work with your feet in hot water. You can really see the direct link between volcanic activity, the breathing of the volcano, and the production of these plants, which are not at all native to this place, but have taken to this exceptional land.
It's perfect here. These are ready for harvesting.
Okay.
You remove the excess root.
And the tubers. Okay, it's there. Can I come work for you?
You're getting on fine for a first attempt.
The abundant energy born from the encounter between water and magma has also allowed the island to face the third millennium with the development of geothermal power plants, placing the Azores at the forefront of renewable energies. Harnessing this energy found in the depths represents a challenge for engineers. The choice of site is primordial for channeling heat from the subsurface under optimal conditions. Once tamed, the benefits are immense, this energy being renewable and available at all times. On the island of São Miguel, the Pico Vermelho geothermal power plant was built in 2005. Graça Rangel, a geophysical engineer, is in charge of the site. Here we are on the flank of the Fogo volcano. Why was the geothermal plant set up on this particular flank?
Projects and companies centered around geothermal production need to be established precisely in places where all the essential conditions for extensive development are united. So you need to set up on an active volcano, which has a deep heat source. Firstly, there are surface indications of the existence of heat at a depth, meaning that you're looking for a zone with fumaroles and thermal sources. Once you've found such a zone, you need to drill, which allows you to capture the water and steam at depth and bring them to the surface.
On this volcano, you have a particular system. How does it work?
When it reaches the surface, the geothermal fluid is directed towards the turbines of the plant, which generate electricity. After which, the cooled geothermic fluid is sent back into the ground, into the chamber.
It's a sort of cycle, a recycling system.
Exactly. And the act of re-injection is essential for maintaining the durability of this resource of a renewable nature. At the moment, the use of the Ribeira Grande chamber by two plants represents 42% of the geothermal energy supply for the entire island of São Miguel. The advantages are enormous because we consume much less fossil fuel.
What are they doing?
Here we're taking a sample of geothermic water in order to analyze its physiochemical composition.
Is that important for managing your deposits?
That will complement the measurements of pressure and temperature and tell us if our chamber is evolving or changing. It's important for geologists like us to understand how the chamber evolves over time, how it reacts to the usage. We want to maintain the durability of this resource. There's a very close relationship between the active volcanoes and the people who live here. The fact of always having lived on a volcanic island creates a mystical atmosphere with a spiritual nature, something greater than ourselves in a certain way. We're responsible for all that. There exists a strong connection between this religious aspect and the volcanic manifestations, and a very close relationship between the lives of the inhabitants and the active volcanoes of the region.
São Miguel has found in the energy of the volcanoes a natural response to its fundamental needs. Here, the daily lives of the inhabitants are marked by the tight relationship between the island and its fiery giants. In the Furnace Valley, I meet up once more with Noel, the yam producer. He wants me to share in a local tradition which has been passed down from generation to generation: the cozido, a dish cooked in the steam of the volcano. Here's our own volcano. How long has it been cooking here?
It's been cooking for 7 hours.
Right. It takes a long time to cook.
It cooks very gently over all this time in the steam. Cozido is actually a stew, a traditional furnace dish.
Good. Let's see what the volcano has in store. Okay. Wow, it's hot. What's the temperature?
80 or 85 degrees.
So it's a slow and volcanic process. So one hook on each side?
Yep.
Okay. Magical. I just have one little question, because I see these volcanic fumes coming out all around where you're cooking the food. I hope there's nothing toxic in it.
We've been feeding from the volcano for 4 generations, and no one's died or fallen ill from it. I think that it's healthy. We can keep eating.
Podemos continuar a comer.
Okay.
Smells good.
Wow.
It's a sort of casserole. There are potatoes, there are yams, there are sausages, there's black pudding, and there's chicken. Cozido is a dish to be shared. Families meet up at Christmas to savor this volcanic hotspot.
It's important for yams to be well cooked, because they're poisonous when they're raw.
Everyone to the table. really good. You can tell that the meat has been cooked over a long time. It's magnificent. Being here with you today has given me the impression that the volcano is at the center of everything, that you live all the time with the volcano.
We're born beside the volcano. We live in the volcano. We take what the volcano gives. And that's how we live, every day. For us, that's natural.
In São Miguel, each meeting is an opportunity to discover the multi-secular links which unite people with their volcano. The inhabitants of the great island of the Azores have learnt to draw the best every day from their fire giants. By pursuing a fertile and harmonious dialogue with their environment, they are constantly innovating while perpetuating their traditions.